It's going to be a quick little discussion about. I did a couple videos on Jean-Luc Marion, one about his idea of givenness, and one about his idea of saturated phenomenon. And one of those saturated phenomenon was the idol, and it breaks the category of quantity. I think quality or quantity. It breaks the category of quality. And with this work, we were talking about how these things of saturated phenomenon are things that will break the framework and construct of our mind in the Kantian categories. It will break those and make us not able to connect, not only able to contact what is given to us to the object, to the eye, but also it breaks various things, and it makes us not able to engage in our normal process of phenomenological intentionality. So that's what these saturated phenomena do. And here I want to talk about the idol, but particularly with respect to art. Now, the idol is determined as first indisputable visible as first indisputable visible because of the splendor stops the intentionality. So what stops this intentionality from happening, this method that we do in everything that does conform to our framework and constructs of our mind, what breaks it is splendor, being bedazzled by what we're seeing. And Jean-Luc Marion puts under this category all good art. And this made me think about what is good art. We have various things in aesthetics that will discuss beauty and what good art is, and ways of evaluating in a theory of critique and such, that will discuss what something has to be good art. And one of my favorite ways of looking at art was a very simple discussion of the way Hegel looks at art. Hegel looks at art as three ways. Number one, that it conforms to nature, or that it is a mimicking or a representation of nature, or of the way things, or the way that we are given things in the world, such as like the better a piece of, like if a piece of art is trying to represent a piece of nature in the world, the better it does so, the more it's going to mesmerize you, or the more splendor it has. The more it has more splendor in this one category of art, the more it will represent nature. The more it will represent nature, the better. The more it will give you, the more it will bedazzle you, I guess, and it will put more splendor into you. Second, is something just, well, there's two pretty the other two are pretty interrelated. One that one is it's basically a standard that says that if a piece of art is just so beautiful that you are just mesmerized by it, that you're sucked into it because of its utter beauty and stuff like that, and that's where the idea of beauty comes in, not because it represents nature, but because of its intrinsic beauty. The other one would be looking at it, and it doesn't really mesmerize you, but it is so contradictory that it will confuse you, so that you are almost to the point that your normal life is just so different because of this, and you're so confused by it. Your normal mind is just so confused by it, and you are trying to comprehend it because it's so contradictory and so confusing and so different compared to what you normally see. Now, I think that this idea of what Hegel, I wish I had his books on aesthetics, but I read that when I had access to a huge library, which I don't anymore, and have purchased a lot of books, I pretty much took a year off college, so in the past year I haven't had access to that huge library, and since then I've purchased a lot of books. This shelf here is full of books that I've purchased because I needed them. I didn't really need them. I just wanted them because I'm trying to write something. And I just wanted to read them. So I've purchased so much books, and Hegel's aesthetics books they're really expensive. But that's why I don't have that. But those three, me remembering that when I was reading Marion and then reading about Marion, made me think about Hegel's idea of what art is. And I think that something is art if it somehow will mesmerize you and bedazzle you. Either that, I guess the second two categories is that it will mesmerize you, bedazzle you in a positive fashion. Oh, it's so beautiful, and so. And the second one is more of a negative fashion, and so it confuses you and messes with the constructs of your mind so much. And I think that all those fall under the idea of Jean-Luc Marion's saturated phenomena under the idol, because they break the category of quality, and I think that the standard for something being art would be just this, and it would be that it breaks a construct of your mind that you are given, that it's so much splendor, and it bedazzles you so much. And I think Hegel's idea of what art is, those three, well, particularly number 2 and 3, would be a good explanation of what this would be, of what a saturated phenomenon of the idol would be in art. And I think that Hegel would be a very good explanation of the idol in art, because it would be, well, nature. The first one, nature. I don't think that nature is going to really dazzle you, because you can see that all the time, and you can have a normal phenomenological intentional interaction with that. But it would probably, if it was nature, it would probably fall into those 2 and 3 categories of the positive one of so much splendor and beauty, and the negative one of so much confusion and messing with your mind because it's so messed up and such. Those two would pretty much be the standard for something being a saturated phenomenon in art. So my opinion would be that good art, the standard of something being good art, could very possibly be that a piece of art breaks your category and is as such a piece of saturated phenomena of the idol. I think that would have to be maybe a little bit high of a standard, but the better, or if it does happen to break your category of quality and doesn't conform to the constructs of your mind, that would have to be a very high standard, and that would definitely be something that if that were to happen, then this piece of art is good art. That's my opinion on that. But the only problem is that saying that the only good art is art that is saturated phenomena would be a little bit too high of a standard, because there is art that does not break your category. There are some that we are able to perfectly well intentionalize, I guess. So this is probably a really high standard, but I would say that if any art does do this, if any art is saturated phenomenon, then it must be good art.